Hey everyone, Ronin here, and welcome back to the channel. We got a lot to cover in today's part, but before we get into that, Aaron White, thank you very much for your support over on Patreon. And please, don't forget to drop a like and a comment on the video to help fuel the algorithm. And if this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload. And if you want to support us even further, please consider becoming a channel member or a patron. You get exclusive access to things that I don't post here on the main platform, and early access to everything that I do. But with all that being said, let's get into What If I Wrote the Pokemon Anime, Part 23. I hope you enjoy. We open today's part with a man known as Dr. Fuji as we see him walking down a very plain, white-looking hallway with his assistant in tail as the man is rambling on about Project Rebirth. The DNA has stabilized, however, why hasn't it not awakened? Fuji thinks to himself as his assistant rambles on about the latest test results. I know, he says. There has to be a reason why the subject has not gained consciousness or sentience at this point. It's here that Fuji's assistant suggests that maybe they did something wrong during the cloning process. Even though the DNA appears to be stable, maybe there's something that they were missing. Maybe there wasn't enough to actually clone. Fuji states that's nonsense. He was the one who developed the cloning process himself. He oversaw every part of it meticulously, even to the point to where they had to reproduce the DNA. Though some of them may have been synthetic strains, they were just as balanced as the original ones, even though they were missing a couple of parts. But we were able to add that in with some generous donations from other beings, so there's no reasons why we haven't even been able to find a brain pattern. Well, it's a shame that subjects Uno, Dos, and Trace managed to escape. If we had more time with them, then maybe we could have figured out what is going wrong with this one. This is a bit of a sore spot for Fuji, as those 3 clones were some of his greatest work, and he didn't even get a chance to revel in it or enjoy the fruits of his labor. The doctor had told Giovanni that it was too early for them to leave the lab. However, the stubborn man refused to listen, and had moved them as soon as they had awakened. Their powers hadn't fully developed yet, and we were underprepared for their control over their elemental abilities, and it ended up costing us great. Our entire research facility that was buried deep within the mountains, gone in a flash. Giovanni may be a brilliant tactician and leader, however, his hubris is going to be his downfall one day. Sir, you better be careful how you speak. If Giovanni were to hear that, then he may pull our funding? We're already in danger of that as it is, considering we haven't been able to demonstrate any type of promising results within the last year. This is when Fuji and his assistant enter a dark room that appears to have no lighting whatsoever. However, this is only temporary, as the scientist flips a switch on a console, only for what looks like some sort of embryonic tube to light up with something floating inside. You're just a shell, he thinks to himself. No signs of life aside from that heartbeat. Maybe it truly is impossible to clone the Mirage Pokemon, Fuji thinks to himself. Sir, what are we going to do about Giovanni? He is going to be here soon, and he expects us to be able to turn in some sort of promising work. The scientist merely shrugs, stating that while this hasn't been able to bear any type of fruits, at least they still have their other subject. You mean the girl, his assistant responds, to which Fuji nods. How was her latest test results? To which his assistant states that her checkup went well. Though mentally she is still a child, she has been growing rapidly. As far as what she looks like on the outside, she could be considered even a full-size adult, if not almost there. I would put her at the ages of about 18 to 19. Fuji smiles. Well, the rapid growth formula that we used on her DNA proved to have some successful results, though the problem is that her brain hasn't caught up to where her body's at, so there's no telling how those results will play out. Where is the subject as we speak? Currently, she is in the Saffron gym, awaiting a meeting with Giovanni. This causes Fuji to clench his fist. He's so protective of that girl. However, he can't blame him. After all, it was Giovanni's DNA that played a part in creating her. But no matter what Fuji does, he can't seem to get the process right. Either they grow too fast but they're mentally unstable, or their abilities are too much to control, or much like this, nothing, just dead space. The scientist needs to figure out what is missing, because if he doesn't, then he'll never be able to save her. Fuji then walks over and places his hand on a pad on the wall, telling his assistant that he doesn't want to be disturbed for any reason. He's got a lot of work to do, and it's time that he gets started on it. A door then opens up in the wall, and Fuji disappears inside of a dark room, leaving his assistant standing there, clueless about what she's going to do next. However, just as the door closes, something catches the assistant's eye, for it was only in her peripheral, as she turns to look at the subject floating in the embryonic tube. No, there's no way you could have moved. We haven't seen any type of brain activity from you as she looks at the screen. It must have just been my mind playing tricks on me, she says, as she walks out of the room. However, as the door closes behind her, a brief aura can be seen glowing around the subject within the tube. Now we follow up with Ash, Misty, and Brock. The three have finally arrived at the border of Saffron City after about a week of travel. During that week, since the time that Ivysaur had evolved, Ash has been on somewhat of a winning streak. He has been using Ivysaur, Butterfree, and Squirtle in most of these battles, and the Pokemon that he's beat haven't been exact pushovers, as Vulpix, Golbat, Vileplume, Weepinbell, Kingler, and Electrode are some of the ones that he had a chance to beat. During this time, it's like a newfound rush has been found with Ash's Pokemon. He's beginning to grow closer with some of them. Even Charmeleon has started to try and battle as well, considering it doesn't like the fact that the power gap between it and one of the other Pokemon has closed, though it still refuses to listen to Ash during any of its battles, and it results in several episodes of Charmeleon and Ivysaur coming to odds with each other, but it always results in the same end, as Sleep Powder puts the Fire Lizard to bed. While these have been the main events that have been gathering everyone's attention, there is one that has been trying to take advantage of this confusion, and that's Nidorina. You see, before, it feared Charmeleon because of its power, but now that there's someone else on the team to rival the Fire Lizard, it has been trying to take this opportunity to do the best that it can to get at Pikachu and cause the mouse as much displeasure as possible. However, each time that it takes this opportunity and uses whatever opening it has, it's stopped by a fight with Ivysaur and Charmeleon that spills out over everywhere and costs it its chance. Nidorina has been growing frustrated with this, as it only has one real objective in its mind, and that's payback for the displeasure that Pikachu caused it when they first met. For whatever reason, it can't seem to let that grudge that it has go. But Ash has been completely oblivious to this, as there are more pressing matters with the Pokemon that are on his team, but that didn't stop them from getting to Saffron City. And as they enter the city, Ash comments that he can't wait to get his next gym badge. He can practically taste it. However, Misty tells him not to be too cocky. Though he's been on a winning streak, there is a chance that could come to an end swift, fast, and in a hurry. However, Ash pays her no mind, stating that with Ivysaur on his side, all of his other Pokemon have beginning to fall in line. Even Charmeleon is even wanted to battle, though Brock points out that Charmeleon still doesn't listen to Ash, to which the boy merely shrugs off as details. They're going straight to the Pokemon Center to get all of his Pokemon looked at, and then he's heading to the gym to challenge for his 7th badge of the region. He can practically taste it. The Pokemon Link is only a couple of months off, and Ash can't wait to beat all of the other trainers of Kanto and be declared the new champion. However, Misty is going to quickly rain on Ash's parade, as she states that this gym in this city is rather new, but it has been gaining a lot of notoriety as of late. The rumor is that not only is it the newest gym in the region, but it's also undefeated. Both Brock and Misty tell Ash that he shouldn't get ahead of himself. If this leader is truly undefeated, then there has to be a reason behind it. But Ash still won't listen, seeing this as another challenge along the way. With courage, he will face. So they head to the Pokemon Center, to which the boy immediately demands that Nurse Joy take a look at all of his Pokemon. After all, he's got a gym battle to win. However, Nurse Joy and her Chansey both tell Ash to take a seat. They're going to have to look at some of these other Pokemon at first. This is when the trio has a chance to truly look around the center and realize that it's overpacked to the brim with trainers, that all of their Pokemon seem to be vastly wounded. But it's not just one or two Pokemon that they're bringing in, it's full teams of 6, to which Ash finds rather odd, as does Misty and Brock. Having a bit of a background in Pokemon physiology and the ability to treat wounds that are pretty basic, Brock offers his assistance to help Nurse Joy calm the raging storm of all of these Pokemon that have been hurt that need Nurse Joy's assistance. This allows the redhead a moment of time to breathe, as she is able to actually focus and get a process in place, so that way they can expedite everything in the Pokemon Center and actually begin to make some progress. This results in a couple of hours of waiting on Ash's part, as he just sits around, with Misty awaiting for Nurse Joy to finally look at his Pokemon. However, the redhead is eventually able to do so, and when Ash finally gets his Pokemon looked at, he asks what is actually going on, to which Nurse Joy states that all of these Pokemon have been sent here after a battle with the gym leader. After the previous gym leader closed down their gym and left for another region, this town was left without one. But then one opened up not too long ago, and the gym leader has been a fierce opponent. They've gone completely undefeated in full 6-on-6 battles. Nurse Joy is beginning to run ragged as she gets multiple challengers a day, but the gym leader is consistent in being able to beat each opponent she faces. This causes Ash to gulp a bit as he's beginning to get a feeling in the pit of his stomach, thinking that maybe he did bite off more than he could chew. However, he's already committed this far, and he refused to let Brock and Misty tell him that they told him so he's going to maintain the facade for as long as possible. But Nurse Joy tells Ash to be careful. There's a lot of Pokemon that have ended up in their intensive care unit that their trainers have simply abandoned because they haven't been able to recover due to being stricken with some sort of mysterious illness after battling the gym leader of the city. Oh, don't worry, Ash says. None of my Pokemon are going to end up like that, as he looks around, gulping a bit, hoping that he doesn't have to eat his words. But after he gets his Pokemon looked at, Ash remains steadfast in his decision to battle the gym. And when Brock is finally able to break free, Misty and the breeder follow Ash over to the gym to make sure he's not going to make a complete fool of himself. However, Ash and Pikachu have their mind set on one thing, and that's obtaining a new badge. They're so close to it, and nothing is going to be able to talk them out of it. So, reluctantly, they are forced to follow the boy to the doors of the gym, where they are greeted by the gym attendant. Ash immediately announces who he is and where he's from. He then declares that he is here to face the gym leader and obtain his 7th badge of the region. Wow, 7, huh? The attendant says. Well, most of the trainers that end up here usually don't have more than 4, so I have to commend you on that. You might be the strongest opponent that my leader has had to date. Hopefully, you'll be able to put up a decent fight, he says, before inviting them inside. Their leader's just inside handling some business with an associate of theirs, so it may be a moment before she can actually have the battle with you. The whole statement that the gym attendant just said has both Misty and Brock a little bit uneasy about this whole situation. They're getting bad vibes about the gym, and they immediately caution Ash on taking a rain check on this or possibly finding another gym to challenge. However, the boy refuses to give an inch on this, as he doesn't want to show any signs of weakness in his eyes that his friends may have actually been right. So he tells them not to worry. He's going to wrap this up quick so they can get back to the Pokemon Center. That way they can breathe a sigh of relief before he steps through the doorway and into the darkness, forcing both Misty and Brock to follow them. However, as the trio enters inside and the door closes behind them, they can immediately feel that the presence in the gym is off. It feels like an intense aura that seems to be lurking over this entire place. However, that's not going to be the thing that keeps their attention captured for long, as a brief rumbling can be felt from within the depths of the gym. Ash questions to what that is, to which the gym attendant states that that's just their leader. She's in the midst of a practice battle with her master, so once she's done with that, she'll be able to take you on. Wait, a practice battle, Ash says, as they enter the main battling area of the Saffron gym. There, they see a sight that they weren't expecting. On one end is a girl, and what appears to be a fully evolved Pokemon that Brock calls out as Alakazam. And on the other end is a person that they didn't think they would see here, the regional champion Giovanni and his ace, Kangaskhan. They're in a full-blown knockdown drag-out battle that seems to hold no quarter. The regional champion seems to be doing whatever he can to push the gym leader farther and farther as he's giving her commands and what appears to be pointers. However, this isn't going to keep up for long, as Giovanni notices the gym attendant standing there with 3 people that he's seen before, which immediately causes him to stop the fight, telling Kangaskhan to stand down, right before it lands a Mega Punch on the Alakazam. Turning, Giovanni greets the attendant, as does the leader, with a simple bow, not saying really anything. The attendant informs Giovanni and the leader that they have a challenger that wishes to earn a badge from this gym, to which Giovanni immediately speaks up, chuckling a bit, stating that he remembers Ash from their time on Cinnabar when they ran into Blaine. So tell me, were you able to earn the badge of that island? To which Ash immediately flashes his badge case, stating that he did, and he wanted to thank Giovanni for the tip that he gave him. However, the boy secretly hasn't forgotten the warning that Blaine gave him, so he's a little bit on edge as he talks to the champion. While Ash is conversing with Giovanni, both Misty and Brock, being gym leaders themselves, find it kind of odd that the gym leader of this place hasn't really said a word. Normally she would be the one engaging with the opponent of the day, but she just stands there with what looks like a soulless look in her eyes as she merely looks at what's going on, like she's trying to comprehend the interaction between Ash and Giovanni. This is what leads them into the topic of discussion for the day, as Ash declares that he would like to challenge the leader of this gym to earn his 7th badge. This causes Giovanni to chuckle a bit. Really now? Okay. The man then turns to his disciple as he addresses her as Sabrina, telling her that this boy would wish to have a gym battle with her, if it's something that she would be okay with, to which she blankly nods with no enthusiasm whatsoever. However, Ash is quick to question the battle that Giovanni and Sabrina were just having, stating that it was pretty intense and it seems like her Pokemon may be at a disadvantage, so if they were doing a full 6-on-6 training session, he'll gladly come back at a later time so that way her Pokemon can rest. After all, he wouldn't want to earn the badge unfairly by beating her. However, Giovanni simply chuckles, stating that won't be a problem. After all, there is one stipulation of this gym that Ash is going to have to accept if he wishes to challenge here. The boy immediately cocks an eyebrow, questioning what that is, to which Giovanni simply smiles. You see, the Saffron gym is aiming to be the strongest in not only this region, but all regions, so it has a very unique stipulation. You see, Sabrina doesn't believe in healing her Pokemon. She likes to be pushed to her absolute limit with both her and her Pokemon, so in doing so, she has no interest in healing her Alakazam. But not only that, it will be the only Pokemon that she uses in this battle. However, you will be required to challenge her with a full team of 6. This immediately causes Ash, Misty, and Brock's jaws to hit the floor. A full team of 6? That's nuts! What kind of stipulation is that? Misty questions, to which Giovanni states that it's one that brings out the best in a trainer. I command nothing but excellence from my gym leaders, and if I recall, both of your gyms are at the bottom of the run when it comes to their abilities to make sure that people can't capture their badges. However, the Saffron gym is the first gym that was opened up under my reign as champion, and it has remained undefeated for the last 2 years. I aim to keep it that way, and not only that, but make sure every other gym falls in line, or they'll be closed down and replaced with somebody more competent. This immediately causes both Brock and Misty to get uneasy. They've never really had an experience with Giovanni like this before, as he never visited their gyms, though truth be told, what he speaks is an actuality. Their gyms are the lowest in the Kanto region, and if Giovanni wanted, he could shut them down for not being able to produce any real challenge. However, they're not going to have time to think about that, as the question of the hour is at hand, with Giovanni asking if Ash accepts the terms of this gym battle, to which the boy immediately sidesteps Giovanni for the moment and asks Sabrina if this is what she wants. Is this her stipulation? This causes the girl to flinch a bit, as if she was going to reply to Ash's question. However, with a scowl, Giovanni states that he is the one addressing the boy, not her. The stipulation has been set, so either he can accept it or leave this gym. That is his decree as the champion of the region. This statement immediately rubs Ash the wrong way, and he's beginning to get that feeling that he got back on Cinnabar Island. However, he doesn't say anything for the time being, merely stating that he does accept the terms and asks when they can begin, to which Giovanni simply chuckles. Right now. He then states that he and his Kangaskhan will watch from the sidelines, as they like to see the competition as they fall to the gym leader. This causes Brock, Misty, and Ash to flinch as they watch Giovanni turn around and order Sabrina back to her side of the gym with Alakazam, before the champion takes to the sidelines with his arms folded, watching with a smirk on his face. Both Brock and Misty tell Ash to be careful. There's something off about the things that are going on here, to which Ash finally admits that he agrees with his friends, but he states that it feels like if they were to try to leave, they wouldn't be allowed to unless they battled. So like it or not, the boy thinks that they're gonna have to do this. Brock and Misty state don't worry, they'll be right here if he needs them, before they head off to the other side of the gym to stand on the sidelines so that way they can get a perspective that allows them to keep their eyes on Giovanni. However, the champion proudly watches the gym leader, paying them no mind, stating that they can start whenever they are ready. He will be the official judge of this battle. As Pikachu mounts Ash's shoulder, the boy asks if the electric mouse is ready, to which it sparks, letting out a brief Pika. Ash states that they're going to have to be careful. He's going to need all of his team if they have a chance at winning this gym battle. For whatever reason, that feeling of cockiness and confidence has been replaced with one of dread and fear, as he's beginning to regret ever entering this gym or the town of Saffron to begin with. But like it or not, he doesn't have a choice as he takes his position on his side of the gym. With Giovanni waving his hand to start, Alakazam levitates forward as it takes his position in the middle of the battlefield, with Ash calling on his first Pokemon, Squirtle, in an attempt to try and battle. The tiny turtle Pokemon proves to have a bit of gusto and the agility to dodge a couple attacks, but Alakazam is just too powerful as it is able to move fluidly throughout the battlefield without even a command from its trainer, able to easily knock Squirtle out with what looks like a move called Shockwave. Ash recalls the turtle thanking it for everything that it put in, though it didn't really cause any damage to the psychic type, so this time he tries something else, his poison type, Nidorina. Even though she is super aggressive and does choose to battle as she realizes she's not going to get a chance to bully Pikachu, it still isn't even remotely close, as Nidorina is one-shotted by a move called Psychic. Well, it seems like you're two down, Giovanni says. Are you going to try for a third or forfeit? However, Ash simply ignores the champion as she pushes forward, calling on his third Pokemon, Butterfree. The boy doesn't know a lot about type matchups, but he does know that Butterfree is a bug type, and they seem to have a favorable matchup against the psychic typing, to which Ash immediately calls for a move called Sober Wind that actually manages to hit Alakazam for the first time in this battle. This causes the psychic type to flinch, and almost in tandem, so does Sabrina, as she shows the first signs of any emotions that she's had since Ash and the rest of his friends enter this gym. However, this is going to be quickly shut down when Giovanni commands her to focus. They have a battle to win, to which this snaps Sabrina back into her emotionless gaze, and Alakazam retaliates with another shockwave that one-shots Butterfree in the process. Ash is beginning to feel the pressure as Giovanni stands there confident with a smirk on his face and his arms crossed. It seems like you're not faring any better than any of the other challengers we've had as of late. Oh well, it has at least been a way to kill some time this afternoon, as I didn't really have anything important. Ash can hear the quips from Giovanni, but he also hears his friends Misty and Brock stating that he's going to have to be creative in this battle. A direct attack won't work. He's going to have to create an opening using something that she won't expect. I know, Ash thinks to himself. However, he only has 3 choices left at this point, and one of them isn't exactly one that likes to listen to him. However, it's his best possible chance when it comes to raw strength, so Ash declares, Charmeleon, I choose you. The fire type emerges from its ball with a burst of flames as it looks down at the Alakazam. Charmeleon can tell that this thing is strong, and even though it doesn't like Ash, it does want to test its power, so it's going to give Ash the courtesy of allowing it to be its second eyes, just like it did in the gym battle with Blaine. The fire lizard then lets out a brief puff of flames before looking back at its trainer, signaling that it's willing to work with Ash for the time being. Seeing what Charmeleon is up to, Ash immediately agrees, as he commands for a flamethrower. However, this is going to be twisted with a psychic from Alakazam and sent right back at Charmeleon, but the fire lizard isn't going to be taken down by this, as it slashes through with a metal claw at the command of Ash and quickly makes its way in the direction of Alakazam, but it's not going to be allowed to make a hit, as Alakazam uses its psychic abilities to lock the mid-stage in mid-air as it just twirls about, struggling to break free. Then, slowly, Ash can see Charmeleon begin to contort as pressure is being applied from the mind of Alakazam. The boy yells for them to stop. That's not fair. Charmeleon is unable to battle, and they're intentionally causing it harm. He then turns to Giovanni. I thought you were refereeing this thing. However, Giovanni merely states that he is calling the battles. He is not going to declare this an illegal move. After all, the whole stipulation of this gym is to test the endurance and the ability of the trainers that reside here and challenge here. So if your Charmeleon can't cut it, then it's going to have to take the pain. Looking back, Ash immediately pulls his ball from his belt in an attempt to recall it. However, Charmeleon looks at his trainer with a glare in its eyes, almost to say, don't do it, causing the boy to freeze. Okay, he says, but what do you want to do? Ash immediately then sees something that could cause a bit of an opening, as he orders Charmeleon to use a flamethrower as it is spinning around. Doing so creates a circular pattern for its flames that manages to blank its ability to be seen by everybody in the gym. However, this seems to not be an issue, as the psychic type still has hold on Charmeleon. But this is what Ash wanted, as he creates a false sense of security on the part of Sabrina and Alakazam. When he calls for a Dragon Rage, the Charmeleon is able to summon and burst through the flames before striking Alakazam and knocking its hold loose on the fire type, dropping it in the process. Though Charmeleon is free, it did take a lot of damage, as it is now breathing heavily, and it appears to be limping very bad. Ash tells the fire type that they shouldn't do this. It should come back, but Charmeleon is too stubborn, and it refuses to take Ash's orders, as it has now gone into what it could be called its savage mode, completely enthralled with the battle, trying to attack Alakazam with whatever brute force it has. However, the opening that it had created has now closed, as Alakazam is back on the attack as it strikes the fire lizard down with another shockwave, bringing that battle to an end, leaving Charmeleon in a smoldering pile in the middle of the gym floor. Ash can do nothing but recall the fire lizard. He's only got 2 Pokemon left, and he's beginning to think that they should forfeit. His best were unable to even touch this Alakazam. However, Pikachu refuses to give up as it talks to Ash, stating that they can do this. It believes in them, so Ash needs to as well. With only 2 Pokemon left, Ash doesn't really see how they can win, but it's willing to put forth the effort if Pikachu is, as he pulls the final Pokeball from his belt, declaring, "Ivysaur, I choose you." The grass type pops from the ball, and it takes a look around and surveys the land. Though it's not a psychic type, it can tell that some intense battles have happened here, and this Alakazam does look strong. However, Ivysaur can see something that the others have completely bypassed. That Dragon Rage that Alakazam was hit with did cause a decent amount of damage, and it was hit in a vital spot. Maybe with the right pressure, Ivysaur can actually cause some serious damage and possibly even take it down. Though Ash is completely oblivious to this, as the boy is beginning to panic internally. However, Ivysaur looks back at its trainer and lets out a cry of its name, signaling that they have to focus on the battle. Giovanni states that Ash's Pokemon are more in line to battle than he is. Is he sure he's in the right profession of wanting to become a Pokemon trainer? However, the boy ignores the champion's goading as he commands for Ivysaur to use a Vine Whip. But these are easily dealt with when Alakazam unveils its next move in the form of an Ice Punch, something that allows it to begin to freeze Ivysaur and causes great damage and hurt to the mid-stage. Knowing that they're going to have to get in if they want to cause any real harm, Ash tells Ivysaur to rush and use its vines to try to deflect anything that comes their way, as Alakazam lets loose with another round of shockwaves in an attempt to try and paralyze the grass type. However, the vines prove to be a great deterrent here, as Ivysaur is able to get in close before landing a petal dance on Alakazam. This immediately causes Giovanni to become agitated, as at this point Ash is beginning to cause both Sabrina and Alakazam to begin to falter. They have now taken 3 hits, and that's more than any other trainer has ever been able to land on Alakazam while Sabrina and Giovanni were present. This is where the champion yells for them to stop messing around. Sabrina needs to end this now, to which the Psychic type trainer immediately responds to as her eyes begin to glow, and Alakazam's does in tandem with hers, causing them to let out a burst of Psychic Aura that strikes Ivysaur with enough force that sends it into the gym wall, knocking it out. This immediately causes Ash to panic as he runs over to Ivysaur to make sure it's alright. However, it lets out a brief sigh of its name before it collapses once again, forcing the boy to recall it. He's beginning to question if they should continue. Each time they begin to make any little bit of progress, it seems like they're immediately pushed back, and with only Pikachu left, Ash doesn't know if he could forgive himself if anything were to happen to it. However, the electric mouse doesn't see things this way, as it has taken its position on the battlefield, even though Ash didn't command it to. It stares down Alakazam, sparking at the cheeks, ready to engage it with any type of force that it needs to in order to claim the victory. As Ash recalls Ivysaur, the boy looks out at Pikachu, asking if it's sure, to which it lets out a brief Pika before staring down Alakazam once again. Realizing that there's no way that Ash is going to get out of this, as Pikachu is committed to this battle, the boy takes his position back on the other side, as both Misty and Brock tell Ash to be careful. They're beginning to stir the pot, and with that happening, Alakazam is becoming more aggressive. However, Ash doesn't have time to worry about that, as the battle is immediately started, and Pikachu is on the attack with an Iron Tail and a Thunderbolt, but these are both knocked back by Alakazam and its Psychic type attacks. Luckily, the electric mouse has the speed to easily get out of reach of Alakazam every time it tries to land an attack. This allows it to evade, which catches the attention of Giovanni and his Kangaskhan, as the normal type is beginning to feel like it may know this Pikachu from somewhere before. But that's not something that they're going to have to be able to address now, as the battle is growing intense and Pikachu is fighting with everything that it has. But unfortunately, what the electric mouse has isn't enough, as Alakazam proves to be just too much of a powerhouse and too high of a level for it to contend with, as a Psychic let loose without any constraints on it strikes the mouse down and brings the battle to an end. This causes Giovanni to snap out of the aggression that he was beginning to feel, as he states that it was a good try, boy, but he didn't think that Ash would be able to stand up to his trainee. After all, she's a chip off the old block. As Ash gathers Pikachu, he asks what Giovanni means, to which the champion states, "What, you didn't know? Sabrina's my daughter, so it's just like father like daughter. She's undefeated, as I am. That's the expectation, and that's why I have taken such a special interest in her." This immediately causes both Brock and Misty to question, as well as Ash. "Wait, daughter? But what about your son?" Ash says. "Didn't he go missing?" This strikes a chord with Giovanni, as his pleasure demeanor immediately changes, as he orders them to leave the gym right now. They have no right to speak of that matter, especially in front of her. This is when the gym attendant appears out of nowhere and tells the three that they're gonna have to leave. He will escort them out. As Ash and his friends walk away, the boy glances back at Sabrina, as for the first time since he entered this gym, he can see what looks like some sort of expression on her face, as Giovanni begins to talk with the girl. However, Ash and Misty are unable to hear the conversation as they are pushed out of the gym, but we get a chance to hear it, as Giovanni states that Sabrina needs to ignore what that boy says. She doesn't have a brother. Giovanni has no other children. Sabrina is the only child that he has ever had, and she needs to remember that. But as the champion begins to scold Sabrina for listening to what Ash had said, an Abra appears out of nowhere. This is a signal that Giovanni has to go. He has some urgent business to attend to. He then states that Sabrina is not to leave the gym, and he will return momentarily, so she is to remain right in that spot until he gets back. Giovanni and Kangaskhan then walk over to the Abra, as it teleports them away, and the gym begins to fall dark as Sabrina is just left standing in the same spot before it completely fades to black. This is where we flash over to Jessie, James, Meowth, and Lickitung. The three are in a hot pursuit as they are being chased by something else that lives within the depths of the tree. Another golem of some sorts. While it bears a striking similarity to the one that was chasing them before, it is made up of steel instead of rock. The three are panicking, trying to evade and get away from this thing. However, they seem to have no luck, as Lickitung is leading them on a wild chase that eventually leads them to a dead end. The four have nowhere to run as the steel type rounds the corner, charging a metal claw ready to strike them down. Jessie, James, and Meowth all begin to hug each other as they begin to say their prayers, stating that if they have to go out, then they're glad that they can go out with each other. However, as the behemoth takes its first steps, the weight of the golem begins to crack the ground below all of them, and it gives way to a hollow cavern as Jessie, James, Meowth, and Lickitung fall through, seemingly into the abyss, as Registeel watches on, satisfied that it is dealt with the intruders. This is where we are going to end things for now. So tell me, how did you feel about this part? There was a lot that happened. What is going on with this clone that Fuji has been working on, and why hasn't it begun to show any signs of life outside of a heartbeat? How about the hubris that Ash has been faced with since him winning all those battles, or the fact that he got checked pretty hard by this gym leader that has been revealed to not only be undefeated? What about the fact that Giovanni seems to not acknowledge the loss of his other child, as he told Sabrina to completely ignore it? Ash didn't know what he was talking about. Whatever happened to that child? And how will Ash and his meddling have an impact on Sabrina? And what about Giovanni himself? What kind of schemes is he cooking? As the plot begins to unfold, we're going to get a chance to see the Pokemon world in a way that we've never had a chance to. So I want to know what you guys think and what your best guesses are in the comments down below.